My sister believes vegetarians are the healthiest. She even forced her 1-year-old son to eat only vegetarian food. My nephew was so starved that his face was sallow, his body emaciated, and he was constantly listless. I advised her that children need balanced nutrition and cannot survive on a solely vegetarian diet. My sister completely ignored my words. She even thought I was jealous because she had a son. Even our parents agreed with my sister's actions. But soon after, my nephew suffered from severe malnutrition and stopped developing. It was at this critical moment that I discovered I was pregnant. That very evening, my sister came to my house and pushed me down the stairs. "You evil witch! If it weren't for you, my child wouldn't have suffered. I want you to pay blood for blood." I felt a pain unlike anything I had ever experienced. When I opened my eyes, I was back at the moment just before I was about to advise my sister. This time, I decided to stand back and watch. My head throbbed, as if I'd been run over by a car. I slowly opened my eyes. Yes, I had been reborn. My sister got pregnant before marriage, a minor who gave birth to a child. Having been overweight as a child, she developed a psychological complex. Furthermore, during her pregnancy, she heard someone say that a vegetarian diet would make her healthy. She also believed in Buddhism. She meticulously followed the experts' advice. Her entire pregnancy was vegetarian, and this had become her destiny. Moreover, she forced her 1-year-old nephew, Ethan, to also be vegetarian. She didn't want to see any meat or fish at all. She deeply believed that vegetarianism was the healthiest. My poor nephew, due to this constant vegetarian diet, suffered severe malnutrition, making him much smaller than his peers. Every time they visited the hospital, the doctor told my sister, "Children cannot be solely vegetarian. It will affect their height. They need a combination of both meat and vegetables to be healthy." In my previous life, I had also advised my sister to listen to the doctor, but she bore a grudge against me. Every time she saw me, she would curse me. Later, it became even worse. She wouldn't even add cooking oil to the food. "Be good, we are the healthiest. We don't eat that garbage, do we?" How could a child understand that vegetarianism is the healthiest? In my previous life, I couldn't bear to see my nephew only eat vegetarian food, so I secretly gave him meat, which prevented him from becoming malnourished. He was even healthier than his peers. This time, I chose to coldly stand by and watch. Even our parents joined my sister in humiliating me. "You worthless wretch, eating all that garbage, why don't you just die?" It showed just how unreasonable they had become. My heart had long since grown cold. In this life, I decided not to interfere in others' affairs. My sister stubbornly believed in the idea that vegetarianism was the healthiest, which meant Ethan had almost never seen meat. At that time, our parents hadn't completely lost their minds yet. Even though my sister didn't eat meat, they still cooked and added a bit of it. Whenever Ethan pointed to a piece of meat and asked what it was, my sister would always tell him it was garbage. So, from then on, there was no meat on our family's dining table. I would secretly eat meat. After all, I didn't want to starve to death. Later, when Ethan went to kindergarten, he would always pick out meat, telling the other children it was garbage and not to eat it. How could the other children understand this? They only knew meat was delicious. Ethan was furious when his friends didn't listen to him, so he rushed into a fight with them in class. Because Ethan was vegetarian, he was very thin, a head shorter than the other children. He was no match for them at all. He was beaten black and blue and burst into tears. The teacher called my sister. "Ethan's mother, why doesn't Ethan eat any meat? He also calls meat garbage and tells other children not to eat it. Today, he even threw another child's meat directly into the trash." Of course, both children were at fault. The other child's parents also arrived quickly. "Ethan's mother, can you explain Ethan's actions?" The teacher frowned, her face full of confusion. "As the child's mother, shouldn't you encourage your child to eat meat? How can you say meat is garbage?" My sister defiantly screamed, "My son did the right thing. Meat is garbage and being vegetarian is the healthiest. Teacher, you'd better not give Ethan any meat or I'll file a complaint." The teacher listened in astonishment, unable to believe it. Veganism is healthiest? Adults doing it is one thing, but not giving meat to children. Doesn't she worry about her child suffering from malnutrition? No wonder Ethan looked so much smaller than his peers. However, since she had said so, the teacher didn't interfere further. There was no need to lose her job over this. My sister believed in the vegetarianism is healthiest method. Although Ethan looked thin in other aspects, he was no different from other children. Gradually, Ethan went to elementary school. In my previous life, I always secretly gave Ethan extra food so he didn't suffer from stunted growth. This time, I would do the opposite of my previous life. Ethan attended a private elementary school, which naturally looked nicer than our public school. Moreover, the quality of education was also very good. But throughout elementary school, Ethan often fought with his classmates. It was always because he called meat garbage. The teacher always tried to mediate, not wanting to get involved with Ethan, fearing trouble. What was my relationship with Ethan? Of course, I had to teach him a lesson. That day was my birthday, and I naturally planned a grand celebration for myself. Knowing Ethan wasn't allowed to eat any meat, I was determined to provoke my sister beyond measure. I cooked several dishes and ordered a lot of extravagant food. Of course, I also invited Ethan over. Ethan looked at the overflowing table and felt something was very unusual. In his mind, meat meant garbage, but the aroma was truly too enticing, even reaching into the bedroom. My sister had something to do that day, so she left Ethan at our house for a while, also to celebrate my birthday. I invited my friends over for dinner. Ethan saw all these things which he thought were garbage, but they smelled so good. He couldn't resist and took a bite. From his expression, I knew he found it delicious. As he took piece after piece of meat, I recorded a video of him eating heartily and sent it to my sister. My sister went furious. She would never compromise on the idea that vegetarianism was the healthiest. That very evening, she returned from her business trip. As soon as she got home, she grabbed a broom and started beating Ethan. Ethan was thrashed severely, and the next day at school, he was ridiculed by many of his friends. It was also from that moment that Ethan knew those things were meat, not garbage. I even intentionally told Ethan about the video I had sent to his mother. Ethan asked me why I had told his mom. I said, "This is garbage, isn't it? How could you eat garbage? Auntie had to tell your mom. You can't break your own rules. It's useless for you to blame me." I mocked Ethan. From that moment on, Ethan held a grudge against me. I didn't care. I had to be cruel. Who wanted to be a puppet again? Since I had been reborn, I had to study hard and become a better person. Other people's affairs had nothing to do with me. I passed my postgraduate exams, met a good man, and quickly got married. But we couldn't have children for a long time. We were very sad about this. That day, we had just finished a checkup when I received a call from my sister. My sister said that Ethan had a parent-teacher conference today and she couldn't attend because she was busy. She asked me to go in her place. How could I miss such an opportunity? In my previous life, I went to parent-teacher conferences for Ethan on behalf of my sister and tried every possible way to help him. This time, I had to make Ethan remember this for life. Today, I was attending a parent-teacher conference for my nephew. I couldn't let my good nephew lose face. Just like last time, at the end of the meeting, the teacher kept me back. Ethan's guardian, I wanted to ask, is there any financial difficulty at home, or are you not giving Ethan enough allowance? The teacher said with a serious expression. Recently, teachers have reported that Ethan is snacking during class. This greatly affects the other students. I listened patiently. As I heard these words, my thoughts shifted to a few topics. I absolutely had to teach Ethan a lesson he would never forget. While I was thinking, the teacher's next words astonished me. Ethan's guardian, Ethan cheated on an exam and even colluded with someone outside to cheat. The details are very serious. What do you think we should do? The teacher said. The cameras caught everything. I nodded, saying seriously, I will discuss this with my sister, and she will give you an answer then. Please leave this matter to us, the parents. My sister and I will discuss how to handle it. I told her we would give her an answer in a day or two. In reality, I didn't discuss anything with my sister. I took all the evidence and posted it on the school forum. In less than a day, Ethan's name became infamous. The matter reached the police, and the school was forced to provide an explanation. Originally, the school wanted to handle it internally, just teaching Ethan a lesson. Now, it had escalated to this point, forcing them to issue a public reprimand for Ethan, and he was even advised to withdraw from school. My sister sought help from many people, but it was useless. During the investigation, it was easy to discover that I was behind it. My sister had held a grudge against me since childhood. My sister came to me, her face full of resentment. Sister, why? Why did you harm Ethan like this? I don't care that you caused this, you have to fix it. For years, my sister and I had never gotten along. From childhood, our parents always doted on her because she was the youngest. And my sister herself hated me. Perhaps she hated that I was good at studying, or perhaps she hated that I was always better than her. This deep-seated jealousy was like a nail hammered deep into her heart, impossible to extract. And me? Of course, I hated her too. After all, how had she treated me in my previous life? I still remember it vividly. I agreed with my sister that I would resolve the matter. As long as Ethan's household registration is transferred to me, I will be his legal mother. I told my sister. Only then can Ethan be safe and sound. After this is over, we can transfer his registration back. I knew how humiliating it was for a mother to give her child to someone else to raise. I wanted to snatch everything from my sister. My sister couldn't find any other way and was very naive. She could only listen to me. A few months later, Ethan became my son in name. The storm surrounding Ethan had passed, but when my sister brought our agreement and asked me to transfer Ethan's registration back, I refused. I wanted my sister to cry herself to sleep every night. Sure enough, my sister suffered every day. The more she cried, the happier I was. I wanted to see my sister like that. Even though Ethan was now my son, I still controlled his mind. I told him, "Your mother said you must be a lifelong vegetarian. Now we must do the same. We cannot break the rules." Ethan continued to eat only vegetarian food every day until his whole body turned almost green. I didn't care at all. I felt incredibly satisfied. To strike a blow against my sister and Ethan, I spent a lot of time searching for Ethan's father. Even after doing so much, I still hated them. I wanted revenge. When I found Ethan's father, he was still in decline, dressed in ragged clothes, looking disheveled. An outsider would have thought he was a beggar. I looked at Ethan's father and was speechless for a moment. Indeed, like a trax-like, my sister and Ethan's father were truly a match made in heaven. I thought to myself, then I said to Ethan's father, "I don't know if you want to see your son. You left so quickly before, I thought you might still want your own flesh and blood." After all, no one doesn't want their own child. I also promised to help him. I told him that as long as he followed my instructions, I could transfer Ethan's guardianship to him. Ethan's father's eyes lit up. I seemed to have guessed his motive. When Ethan found his father, he wasn't surprised at all. He was too thin, just skin and bones. Ethan's father was heartbroken. I also let Ethan and his father spend a few days together, eating meat. This was Ethan's only request. Ethan's father happily agreed. Of course, someone naturally informed my sister, adding fuel to the fire. I deliberately told the villagers about Ethan staying with his father. Word spread like wildfire. Soon, the rumors were distorted. How could my sister endure hearing these things? She found the two of them at a barbecue restaurant. Ethan's father originally intended to explain, but my sister was in a furious rage. How could she listen to a single word? She dragged Ethan out, punching and kicking him. "I'll give you garbage food. I'll give you garbage food. I told you only vegetarian. Why didn't you listen? How dare you go find him? Do you even know who he is?" My sister caused a scene at the barbecue restaurant, immediately attracting a crowd. Many people took out their phones, recorded the scene, and posted it online. Meat is garbage. Good heavens, this belief is truly bizarre. This woman must be insane. Born into such a family, this child is truly pitiful. This couple is simply beyond words. Many parents of Ethan's classmates also advised my sister that she couldn't let Ethan only eat vegetarian food. Ethan is malnourished and as frail as a noodle, all because of his vegetarian diet. My sister cursed these parents relentlessly, and no one dared to argue with her. Indeed, even in this situation, my sister did not compromise on her principle that vegetarianism was the healthiest. After settling these matters, my sister no longer cared about others. She only focused on Ethan. Ethan was supervised every day, eating only vegetarian food. He was 12 years old but only weighed 35 kilograms, as thin as an ant. After all these incidents, Ethan was about to enter middle school, and with my sister's notoriety spread throughout the county, there was already a bad reputation. No school dared to accept Ethan. Ethan and my sister came to the county to find me. My husband looked vigilant when he saw them. He knew how they had treated me and all the suffering I had endured over the years. He loved me and didn't want to help them anymore. My sister and Ethan came uninvited to our house. Ethan was physically weak, which was understandable, but my sister didn't look much better. Eating vegetarian food every day, her face was pale like a ghost. They told me, "We need your help for Ethan to attend middle school in the county." I said, "We're not school principals, we can't help." "You barren hen, what right do you have to speak? Who asked you?" Just because you're beautiful, you cling to others' homes and won't leave. After all these years, you still haven't produced a single child. Of course, you wouldn't understand a mother's desire for her son to go to school. I originally wanted to cry but held back. The events of my previous life were like a needle piercing my heart, but I could no longer be so weak. I raised my hand and slapped my sister. At this moment, my husband also walked over and said the words that satisfied me the most. "Let me tell you, we can't help with anything. How many bad things have you done to Zio-Wen over the years? Do you want me to recount each and every one to the police?" my husband said. Seeing us speak so assertively, they sat down on the floor and refused to leave. We had no choice but to call security. "Don't you know Ethan is still registered under my name? Say one more word, and I'll make sure he can't go to school for the rest of his life. I stopped being your sister a long time ago. You know that deep down. Continuing like this will only make things awkward for both of us," I said. My sister heard me and didn't dare to cause trouble anymore. She was afraid Ethan really wouldn't be able to go to school and also afraid I would go crazy. Recently, she had seen me acting very unusually, so she didn't dare to mess with me. I didn't have time to care about Ethan. In the past few days, he had returned home with my sister. Ethan now hated me deeply. He didn't know everything I had done to him, but he knew some things. As for my sister, I had long stopped caring about her life or death. I arranged for Ethan to take an exam at our place. Ethan had been having frequent nosebleeds lately, and my sister didn't take him to the hospital. Let it be, let it be. I can't have any sympathy. I still arranged an entrance exam for Ethan, but this exam was entirely a sham. Ethan could never pass. I had a few friends who worked at the Department of Education. Cheating for personal gain was the easiest thing to do. I had set a trap for Ethan. Ethan had a previous record, so even if we pointed out his cheating, he couldn't deny it. Moreover, the extent of his cheating was recorded in his file. Very quickly, the news of Ethan's cheating spread throughout the middle school. The middle school principal absolutely would not allow such a student into the school. They could only reject my sister and me. I spoke those righteous words. But what was the underlying reason? Only I knew. I smiled faintly, feeling immensely satisfied. Recalling my previous life, I covered up all of Ethan's cheating. In this life, I realized this was a huge loophole. I didn't need to lift a finger. Ethan would walk straight into the trap himself. Ethan and my sister returned home. He had told my sister several times that he kept having nosebleeds for no reason. My sister ignored it, only buying Ethan the cheapest medicine, completely disregarding his life or death. Now that I think about it, perhaps those were signs of Ethan's illness. My sister still insisted that vegetarianism was the healthiest. Ethan searched for some information online. From that moment, Ethan knew that the vegetarianism is healthiest method was wrong. Ethan had no other choice. At school, online, everyone knew about him. He could only return to our village to attend middle school. The next time I heard news about Ethan was from my former boss. Because I was too bothered by Ethan, tormenting him several times, I had transferred his household registration back to my sister. In recent years, I had also changed jobs. I hadn't been home for years. My boss called and said that Ethan's attitude toward my sister had changed over the years. He had realized that vegetarianism is healthiest was a mistake, so he often secretly ate. My sister, fearing Ethan would secretly eat, confiscated his pocket money. Ethan had no pocket money, so he had to resort to robbery. The phrase, fighting and brawling, perfectly described Ethan during this period. One time, Ethan got into a big fight with a classmate, and the teacher, fearing responsibility, called my sister. Why did Ethan fight with his friend? Wasn't it because he was too greedy for food? A classmate in class was eating roast chicken. How could he not snatch it? When my sister arrived, Ethan obviously had a piece of roast chicken in his mouth. His friend even asked, "You're eating secretly like this? How many times have I eaten without getting caught? Damn it, this vegetarianism is healthiest nonsense. I'm almost 16 but only 1.4 meters tall. Is that normal? I'm almost stunted." Before he could finish, my sister, standing outside the door, burst into tears. Ethan was her only hope. Seeing Ethan like this, my sister picked up a broom in the classroom and repeatedly hit Ethan. Ethan screamed in pain but didn't admit his fault, only saying, "Having a mother like you is truly my misfortune." Each word pierced my sister's heart. In the end, Ethan was dragged home by my sister, forced to stand facing the wall in penance. Even so, Ethan did not admit his fault. But my sister, no matter how much she compromised, would not give up her belief that vegetarianism was the healthiest. Daily meals were still the same, entirely vegetarian. Ethan refused to eat for several days. Even more shocking things were yet to come. This year, for the Lunar New Year, we hadn't been home in a long time. Our parents just happened to call, saying they wanted us to gather this year, but I unexpectedly heard my sister lecturing Ethan as soon as I got home. Ethan outwardly didn't dare to oppose my sister, but behind her back, he had many tricks. In recent years, he hadn't followed my sister's vegetarian diet and seemed to have grown a bit taller and healthier. I was happy for him. They fought so much they were almost crippled. I still couldn't believe it. Ethan, so thin, could cripple someone? That person must have been too weak. A few days later, that boy and his parents came to find my sister. They presented irrefutable evidence. My sister dared not say anything more. Ethan had even more shocking news. Ethan got a girl pregnant. It could be imagined that the girl's parents would absolutely not let it go. They definitely demanded an explanation. Our family was plunged into chaos again. This matter shocked my parents. They were people with relatively sound morals. They absolutely had to strictly discipline my sister. Ethan dared not disobey his grandfather and was also beaten by him. My sister, however, disregarded everything, saying, "At most, we'll raise the baby and treat him. What's the big deal? As for the girl, if she's pregnant, just let her give birth. What's the big deal?" My sister was still speaking so casually there. "Aren't you a master's graduate? You figure out a way." I couldn't believe my sister could say such things when her own child had reached this point. What was such a child but a walking corpse? But as soon as I heard those words, I couldn't hold back anymore. I said, "What way do you think I have? The police, the Public Security Bureau, you should go ask them." She just listened to me. I swept past, and my sister brought up the old matter again. I secretly gave Ethan meat. She slandered me, saying that if I hadn't helped Ethan, he wouldn't have fought or neglected his studies. I was furious. What am I to him? I'm not his mother. For goodness sake, how can you be so shameless all day? My sister was very angry, I could see it. Dad, standing next to us, told us both to shut up for a moment. I didn't say anything more. The boy's parents said, "Ethan must take responsibility, otherwise his life will be ruined forever." And as for that girl, I really don't know what to do. My sister, blindly loving her son, said, "I'm out of money. For so many years I've raised Ethan alone. How could I have any money? Can everyone help me?" She turned to look at me. "I don't have any money. Even if I did, I wouldn't give it to her, you ungrateful wretch." I said it was useless to look at me. "I don't have any money. I haven't earned a penny these past few years. Sometimes I even have to cover losses." What good does it do to tell me? I'm lucky to still be alive. Our parents really couldn't bear to see their grandson become like this. They also tried to persuade me, saying, "What are you doing? Don't hold grudges against children. Later, when he earns money, he'll thank you." "I don't have any money." I said nothing. Ethan's actions had nothing to do with me. I didn't want to manage him. Ethan, I don't know when he arrived, wanted to snatch my phone to transfer money to him. I was about to go crazy, but before I could react, my husband pushed Ethan to the ground. Very gently, Ethan lay on the ground without the strength to get up, just clutching his stomach on the ground. My sister was heartbroken. After all, it was her own flesh and blood. But during the argument, I was so angry that I fainted. The whole family was in chaos, taking me to the hospital. When I woke up, my husband told me I was 2 months pregnant. We were both very happy. My sister, standing by, seemed to be lost in thought. I was pregnant. This child was hard won. I had to protect him well, I told myself. Just like in my previous life, my sister would surely harm me. In this life, I had to keep evidence. I would absolutely not let my sister off the hook. My relationship with my sister, because of Ethan and recent events, had become even worse. My sister even brought Ethan here to cause trouble. They sat in our house and secretly instructed someone to try and steal all our valuables. I had anticipated they would do this, so I had already installed cameras in the house. I knew exactly how Ethan and my sister brought people in, but I still had to act. "What's wrong? Do you want to come again?" I said, "This house has already been completely robbed by the two of you. There's nothing valuable left. Go ahead and take it. Don't do these petty thieving things anymore. Outside, don't say you have any relation to me." I mocked her. "You crazy woman, I want you to pay blood for blood," my sister said, rushing towards me, wanting to push me down. That way my child would also be gone. I saw her rush over, thinking this was it. Tears streamed down my face, thinking I still couldn't keep my child in this life. Unexpectedly, my husband suddenly held my sister back. Ethan saw my sister being restrained and tried to rush forward to push me. Who would have thought that in the next second, the police appeared at my house and arrested both of them? I sobbed, afraid that my child would once again be gone. Fortunately, nothing serious happened. Perhaps heaven was also helping me. Just crying wouldn't work. I still had to teach these two a lesson. They stole from my house and wanted to kill my child. How could I forgive them? But the police, out of respect for our relationship, always wanted us to reconcile. I said, impossible. This time, I absolutely cannot forgive them, just follow the law. My sister saw me say this, and she seemed to understand. Ethan and my sister were temporarily detained for 14 days and then released. The police warned them a few words and sent them home for self-reflection. My sister and Ethan looked smug, and I glared at them as if everything had just begun. My sister and Ethan were the kind of people who forgot the pain once the wound healed. How could I let them live in peace like that? I had to make them remember this for life. After all, I had been reborn. I directly brought a lawsuit against both of them, presenting all of Ethan's past actions and my sister's complicity. When they received the court summons, they couldn't believe it. They didn't expect me to be so ruthless this time. During this time, my sister and Ethan also kept coming to find me. My evidence might not put them to death, but it could make them wish they were dead. They pleaded, "Sister, do you have to be so utterly heartless?" My sister asked. "Does it really have to come to this?" How could I care about their lives or deaths? I wanted them to be ruined. Therefore, every time Ethan and my sister said they wanted to talk to me, I refused without any doubt. The day of the court hearing arrived. I had a lot of evidence in hand. I was sure to win this case. Thus, my sister and Ethan also ended up owing me money. Moreover, because Ethan had committed too many wrongdoings, the police said they had to investigate strictly, keeping him at the police station, saying they wanted a clear investigation. My sister's crimes were not few, but still not as numerous as Ethan's. After the trial concluded, the court ordered my sister to compensate me for emotional distress. I said, "This is just the beginning, I have even better tricks." I also fully exposed my sister's persistent belief that vegetarianism is healthiest. Because Ethan and my sister had appeared on television for these incidents, the vegetarianism is healthiest principle she believed in naturally also made it to television. Not long after, many people started discussing this matter. I really can't imagine how a 16-year-old child could do such things. It turns out his mother doesn't let her child eat meat. A child like Ethan is truly disobedient. We absolutely cannot let our children learn from him. People on the internet said all sorts of things, each with their own opinion. My sister heard these words and could no longer leave the house. The rumors outside could drown my sister, and Ethan in prison had to endure both physical and mental torment. I don't want to say much about what happened in there. This was all what they deserved. I thought this was what I wanted. Ethan, at his most beautiful age, his mind already shattered. Ethan in prison didn't care about my sister's life or death. After these things happened, the next time I heard news about Ethan was from a police call. Our whole family was called in. Ethan was emotionally agitated. No one could control him. The police took Ethan to the hospital, and the results showed that Ethan had severe depression. The doctor said, "We need to check if there are any other problems with Ethan's body." Unexpectedly, Ethan, due to his long-term vegetarian diet, lacked vitamin nutrition and suffered from continuous anemia. Moreover, recently he would get tired after just a few steps. There was no doubt that Ethan's body had also fallen ill. The pale-faced doctor told us, "Ethan has leukemia." My sister felt like her world had collapsed. She couldn't believe it and sat down on the ground. Ethan's father also came and scolded my sister. "You always said vegetarianism is the healthiest. Now look what happened. You've killed our son. Are you happy now? Why didn't I take responsibility for you? You couldn't have not known." Ethan's father spoke through tears. "In my previous life, I secretly supplemented Ethan's nutrition. Ethan only had mild anemia, but unexpectedly, in this life, he had leukemia and was also diagnosed with severe depression." Ethan's father was always by Ethan's side during this time. Ethan also seemed to live happily during this period, only always speaking incoherently. "Dad, am I going to be gone soon?" Ethan said weakly. I saw all of this. Indeed, as a mother seeing such a scene, I couldn't help but cry. In his final days, although Ethan was depressed, he still asked me to take a family photo on behalf of their family. He no longer had any strength. The torment of his illness had exhausted him. He quietly said to me, "Auntie, I'm sorry. This is all my own doing. I hope Auntie can forgive me. In my next life, I will definitely repay you." I didn't want to hear him say anything more. Also, to comfort a patient, I just nodded. Whether I forgave him or not no longer mattered. 7 days after the family photo was taken, Ethan passed away. That day, it rained heavily as if Ethan was apologizing to me. Ethan had said, "As long as it rains, it means I know I've done something wrong." Conversely, my sister couldn't accept it. She cried at the funeral hall for 3 days and 3 nights. Just as she wanted to cry more, her nose started bleeding nonstop. We immediately took her to the hospital. Dr. Chen guessed that she also had leukemia. At this moment, my sister still couldn't believe it. The belief that vegetarianism is healthiest, which she had always insisted on. Could it be wrong? I said. Yes, it was wrong from the start. People say that a combination of meat and vegetables is the healthiest. How many times have I told you and you never listened? You see, you can't just listen to one-sided advice. That expert has caused me so much suffering. Not only did he take my son's life, but you also want to take mine. What on earth did I do wrong? At this moment, my sister saw my belly growing bigger and said in the hospital that my child had killed her child. I found it utterly unreasonable. Although I had anticipated it, my husband said to my sister at this moment, "Don't spread such malicious rumors anymore, or you will face retribution." She was scared, perhaps due to her illness, and dared not say such ominous words. From that day on, every additional word my sister spoke made her feel very tired. My sister, for some reason, had been actively cooperating with the doctor's treatment recently, but when she went for a checkup full of hope, she still received bad news. Her condition was even more serious. So serious that she felt pain just saying a word. My sister didn't dare to sleep every day. She was afraid she wouldn't live to see tomorrow. Until her last day, my sister seemed to know she was about to die. She called all of us her family and told us that she had been wrong that day. She didn't ask for our forgiveness. "Sister, I'm sorry for destroying your peaceful life. I even tried to kill your child. I don't ask for your forgiveness, but I hope your child will be safe." My sister said, "I'm sorry for troubling you, sis." Before she could finish, she passed away. I hugged her and said I had forgiven her. I was about to become a mother. How could I make things difficult for another mother? Be a good person in your next life. Don't let so many people suffer with you. I thought to myself, our family prepared the funerals for my sister and Ethan as a way to commemorate them in this life. Even as I say this, tears still fall, but people must always look forward. After handling everything, a long time had passed. I also had to focus on my pregnancy. I absolutely could not let my child suffer any more harm. If anyone dared to harm my child, I would absolutely not forgive them. Becoming a mother makes one strong. Without the harassment of my sister and Ethan, a few months later, my child was born, a lovely baby boy who knew how to smile as soon as he was born.